Let's move to the next topic, that was Simon Commission. Fine. So Simon Commission was just like a statutory commission. It was under the Sir Johan Simon, set up in response to the nationalist movement. The commission was to look into the functioning of the constitutional system in India and suggest changes. But the main problem was in that commission was that they did not have a single Indian member. They were all British. So what happened when the Simon Commission came to India? The Simon Commission came to India in 1928 and it was greeted with the slogan "Go back Simon" by all the Indians. All parties, including the Congress and the Muslim League, participated in the demonstrations. Fine. So it was also not worthful. So Simon Commission was, a fail in India. So Lord Irwin announced in October 1929 a vague offer of a future constitution of India about in related to round table conference. So to discuss a future constitution of India. This did not satisfy the Congress leaders. Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose become more assertive. The liberal moderates who were proposing a constitutional system within the framework of British dominion gradually lost their influence. So in December 1929, under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, what happened? The Lahore Congress formalized the demand of Purna Swaraj, or full independence for India. It was declared that 26 January 1930 would be celebrated as the first Independence Day, when people were to take a pledge to struggle for complete independence. So what happened after that? The path was open for Salt March or civil disobedience movement. Now we will move to the next topic, that was Salt March. Fine. So we have to discuss now the scores of Salt March. On January 31st, 1930, Gandhi wrote a long letter to the Viceroy, communicating his decision to start the civil disobedience movement. And on 12th March, Mahatma Gandhi began his historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, because he knew that it's a powerful symbol. Salt is a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. Fine. So, on 12th March, Mahatma Gandhi begins his historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on the Gujarat sea coast, because the Indians were banned to, make salt in their own country. So, he was accompanied by 78 of his trusted volunteers, but as Gandhiji advanced, others joined the party. On the morning, what happened? 6th April, Gandhiji violated the salt law by picking up some salt left by the sea waves. Gandhiji's campaign against the salt laws was a signal to disobey the government laws. As in the non-cooperation movement, all the Indians were told to non-cooperate the Britishers, but in civil disobedience movements, they have to non-cooperate, boycotted, even they have to break the laws which had been made by all the Britishers. So salt was one of the law, you know. So that's why salt law was also broken by Gandhiji. Now we will start the topic civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement was different from the non-cooperation movement also. We will also discuss this. Fine. So firstly we will cover the features of civil disobedience movement. Fine. So the countrymen broke the salt law first. They made salt and demonstrated in front of the government salt factories. Foreign clothes were boycotted. Liquor shops were picketed. Peasants refused to pay the land revenue. Village officials resigned from their post. People violated forest laws. Okay, so these were the particular features of civil disobedience movements. This movement was having some limitations also. The inclination of untouchables or Dalit to depressed class movement and their indifferent attitude towards this movement. This was a main limitation. Fine. Indifferent or partial cooperation of traders and businessmen due to growing influence of socialism in India. This was a second limitation of this civil disobedience movement. That why it was failed. Third was lukewarm responses of Muslim political organization. Gandhiji who believed that the Muslim will help them, but it was not. So, industrial workers also stayed aloof. Indifferent attitude of peasants after Gandhi Irwin Pact 1931. So, there were many factors, many limitations were there who become the cause of failure of this movement. Fine. Now we will discuss how civil disobedience movement was different from non-cooperation movement. Fine. Non-cooperation movement was launched between 1920 to 1922 while the civil disobedience movement, it was continued between 1930 to 1934. This is the first difference. Second, the non-cooperation movement was launched because of the anger of Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and the civil disobedience movement was launched against the arrival of Simon Commission. You have to keep this thing in your mind, students. Third was Swaraj or self-government was the aim of non-cooperation movement, but complete independence or Purna Swaraj was the aim of the civil disobedience movement. The non-cooperation movement was supported by almost all the section of the society, whereas in civil disobedience movement, it was totally opposite. The Dalits did not fully participate. So these were the main differences which make non-cooperation movement totally are different from civil disobedience movement. So now we will move to the next topic. As we have discussed that Dalit participation was very low, there were many reasons for this thing. They demanding reserved seats in the education institutions and separate electorate that would choose Dalit member for legislative council. Political empowerment they believed would resolve the problem of their social disabilities. Dalit participated in the participation in the civil disobedience movement was therefore limited. So particularly what happened in Maharashtra and Nagpur region where their organization was quite strong, their participation was very less. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who organized the Dalit into the Depressed Classes Association in 1930, clashed with Mahatma Gandhi and the second roundtable conference by demanding separate electorate for Dalit. When the British government conceded the Ambedkar's demands, so Gandhiji began a fast unto death. He believed that separate electorate system for Dalits would slow down the process of their integration into society. So Ambedkar ultimately accepted Gandhiji's position and the result was the Pune Pact of September 1932. So, what was Pune Pact? It gave the depressed classes, later to be known as the scheduled castes, reserved seats in the provincial and central legislative councils, but they were to be voted in by the general electorate. The Dalit movement, however, continued to be apprehensive. The Congress led national movement. Fine. So, some of the Muslim political organizations in India were also lukewarm in their response to the civil disobedience movement. After the decline of non-cooperation or Khilafat movement, a large section of Muslims felt alienated from the Congress. They also not participated as we have discussed earlier. Fine. So it was the main. We can say that the less participation from the Dalit side also a main factor for the failure of disobedience movement. Now we will move to the next topic, the sense of collective belonging. Nationalism spreads when people begin to believe that they all are a part of the same nation. So, this sense of collective belonging came partly through the experience of united struggles. But there were also a variety of culture process through which nationalism captured people's imagination. History and fiction, folklore, song, popular prints, symbol, all played a part in the making of nationalism. The identity of the nation, as you have seen, is most often symbolized in a figure or image. This helped create an image with which people can identify the nation. It was in the 20th century with the growth of nationalism. The identity of India came to be visualized, associate with the image of Bharat Mata. You can see on the screen also. The image was first created by Bankim Chand Chattopadhyay. In the 1870, he wrote Vande Mataram as a hymn to the motherland. Later, it was included in the novel Anand Math and widely sung during the Swadeshi movement in Bengal. Moved by Swadeshi movement, Abindranath Tagore printed his famous image of Bharat Mata. In this painting, Bharat Mata is portrayed as an ascetic figure. She is calm. You can see in your book also. Composed, divine, spiritual. Okay, the image of Bharat Mata acquired many different forms as it circulated in popular prints and was painted by different artists. So devotion to this mother figure came to be seen as a evidence of one's nationalism. Students, if you remember, in the nationalism in Europe chapter, we have seen that the artists also contributed in different ways. They created some allegories as we have seen that for Germany there was Germania. So same as for Bharat Mata is for Indian people. Fine. So therefore Indian there was Bharat Mata. Fine. It was also an allegory. So ideas of nationalism also developed through a movement to revive Indian folklore. Fine. In late 19th century, nationalists began recording folk tales sung by bats, toured village together folk songs, legends. These tales they believed gave a true picture or traditional culture had been corrupted and damaged by the outside forces. So I just want to tell you one thing, that each and every person had given their contribution towards the feelings, for creation of feelings of nationalism. Even if we talk about the Swadeshi movement, during Swadeshi movement in Bengal, a tricolor flag was designed. It had 8 lotus representing 8 provinces of British India and a crescent moon representing Hindu and Muslim. So by 1921, Gandhiji had designed the Swaraj flag. It was again a tricolor, red, green, white, and had a spinning wheel in the center, representing the Gandhian ideal of self help. So, carrying the flag holding a lit loft during marches became a symbol of defiance. Another means of creating a feeling of nationalism was through the reinterpretation of history. By the end of the 19th century, many Indians began feeling that instill a sense of pride in the nation, Indian history had to be thought about differently. The British saw Indian as a backward and primitive, incapable of governing themselves. In response, Indian began looking into the past of the discovered India's great achievement. They wrote about the glorious development in ancient times when art and architecture, science and mathematics, religions and culture, law and philosophy, craft and trade had flourished. So this glorious time in their view was followed by a history of decline, where India was colonized. These nationalist histories urged the leader to take pride in India's great achievement in the past and struggle to change the miserable conditions of life and British rule. So, according to the nationalist feelings, we can say that the major factor which promoted the sense of nationalism in the Indians, that was united struggle. Second, cultural processes. Third, Bharat Mata. Fourth, revival of Indian folklore. The idea of nationalism was also developed through by reviving Indian folklore. Fine. So these were all the particular factors which promoted the sense of nationalism in the Indians. After that, I just want to tell you one more thing. From this chapter, we will definitely do one map related to the major centers related to like Jallianwala Bagh, National Congress sessions, so on. So I'm just showing the map, and you all are required to do this map on India's political map. Fine, you can draw all the centers over there, you can fill the names. Fine, and on your notebooks, you can, first side you will write all the questions, and on the other side you will paste the map. Fine, so I'm just showing the map and questions to you people. So students, in the on the screen you can see these are the questions that you have to write on your notebook of history. Fine, and these are the questions through which you can fill the map. And now there is the map on the screen. According to these, you have to fill all the names are also answered on the map. If you see down of the map, answers are also written over there. So questions are in the first picture, and map is there in the second picture along with the answer, so it will be easy for you people. Fine, so this map is we have to prepare for our board exams. So I'm just going to wind up this session. Thank you.